People, deluded. If you're not going to take anything away from my videos, people, make sure you download the OneFootball app. It's a terrific application developed by the guys over at the OneFootball Network. Make sure you visit my description for more of that. If you don't want to do that, go on the OneFootball Network website. It's a terrific application, people. I can't just say that enough, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. Why I like it? It allows me to stay on top of every bit of information there is in regards to football. It doesn't matter if it's transfer speculation, results, fixtures, manager talking points, player talking points. They have everything covered, and the sheer velocity and in-depth of some of the content, you can't put a price on it, people. The one big feature I like out of everything, when it comes to transfers, they've got it on top. They tell you exactly where the rumour or the information was first brought out, more or less. And it tells you how the strength of the rumour. And it also tells you what that could mean for the team moving forward with fellow supporting articles. It is the #1 application for the general football fan. And in fact, not even the general football fan, the honest football fan. The fan that really loves football. If you really love football, you'll download the OneFootball app, people. Because for me, it is the best on the market. Like I said, link is in the description. Visit their website. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. People, I don't want you lot to do yourself a disservice, and you lot are the real followers because you follow me. Make sure you download the OneFootball app. People, deluded, I'm out. People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. And as I've hit 13,000 subscribers, so much I almost got the number wrong, people. It's appreciated. Fridays equals Q&A day. So I'm here on Thursday evening. It's actually Wednesday, people. I can't lie, I've got work on Saturday, so we need to move forward with this thing. But let's not waste any more time, people. Let's crack on. I'm so imperfectly perfect in it, people. That's why you lot love me. But cracking on, got some banging questions. Thank you very much for the questions via Twitter, YouTube, and all the other platforms. Let's crack on with the Twitter ones that I got printed off. Tobias asks, what's your thoughts on Ozil in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-1-3? Well, two creative formations, two formations that kind of, you're looking at it, you need a 10 or a creative attacking mid, which would be Ceballos for me. But you've got to bring Ozil in, because if something happens to Ceballos this season, I know we've got Emil Smith role. Nelson can play there, for example. Joe Willock's done well in that advanced role. But you've probably got to lean on Ozil, especially because, like, regardless of your opinion of Mkhitaryan and Ozil, you had to have kept one beyond the obvious talk of their futures, because if something happens to Ceballos, who is only here for a year, so we're going to have a gap in terms of the creativity. At times we don't need a creative midfielder or a 10 or whatever, but we need to have the option to play it if need be. So for me, there's a strong case for him to start, to be fair. And actually Ceballos and Ozil could start in these formations. So shout out to you, Tobias, man. Great way to start our thing off. Tavin asks, what's your opinion on Haaland and Dominguez Quina? Well, I like Quina, formerly of Chelsea, West Ham, and now of Watford. Might have to leave to go and get first team football. You never know what could happen for him, but it is what it is. And Haaland, hasn't he left in that Norwegian team? He was linked with United. He scored a bunch of goals at the Under-20s World Cup in one game. He's a physical handful, and he knows how to score goals. So he's a young Norwegian striker that looks like he's got a lot of potential. Obasas asks, what do you think suits Arsenal more, a back three or a four? A four for me, my guy. I mean, I actually don't mind playing a back three. If we could defend properly and stuff, I don't mind a back three. Pep plays a back three, but the intent is always to get forward. We just need to be switched on. In theory, you'd say a back three because there's more men on the pitch, or in theory there should be more defenders. But I think we look more comfortable in a back four. I get why he sometimes goes with a back three, or technically five. Obviously, Kolasinac strengths are more that way than that way, defending. But I personally would say four. You've also asked, what do you think of Emery's approach to changing team tactics and setup for every team we face? Don't you think we should stick to a particular style for most games and only change the style in extreme cases like Liverpool away and City? You're right, my guy. I've touched on this. If you lot watch my vids, I've touched on that. I do have a slight tweak to make. I do think Emery, first and foremost, if we agree or not, because as much as I agree with you, bro, he has the luxury to do whatever he wants with his team. Obviously, we critique where we see fit. I love Emery. I think he's a good manager. He's a good tactical manager. But I want to see kind of his morals and principles shown in Arsenal a bit more. He's got it with three at the back. Doesn't matter what defenders or combination of defensive 3-4, who's there, they try and play out from the back. Offensively, I feel we could play much better. I do think he should look to kind of put his own identity. And like you said, at times, I think it's a mental thing because he's had to come through it. Because at the time, he didn't want to play Lacazette and Aubameyang, for instance, in these sort of games. And he kind of... Last season, we played well against the top six, but there was many times where I look at the Spurs game where you can tell he kind of took his mental handbrake off and he went with his cerebral approach of thinking about the opposition, but he kind of was a bit more like Wenger in that you're thinking what your team can do. Of course, I'm not critiquing him and comparing him to Wenger. You all know what I mean by that is the attacking stuff of what Lacazette and these people can do. I do believe in one core formation or one way of thinking, and then you deviate. You have a freedom, you have a framework, and then you have freedom within the framework to deviate, obviously, because there might be obvious threats that the opposition got. You might tweak it. It might be a 4-3-3, for example, but in real time, it's more a 4-4-2 because you want your right wing or whatever to be more pen back and be almost like a second defender because their left winger might be on something. I do think we shouldn't be chopping and changing tactics all the times and personnel all the time, because even last season I got gas. We all got gas when Emery's changing the team and in the second half and that player who's come on or whatever, they've been a hero. On one hand, that's great. There are times you're simply not at it as a club. But if you're continuously game in, game out, finding yourselves not starting in the best way, changes have to make the difference in the second half. Are you necessarily starting off the team, are the players starting off in the best way? But is Emery necessarily positioning the team to go out there and do the business? Because it's at the end of the day, it's his tactics, it's his philosophy. Prior to the game and anything's happened, they're going out there doing what he's tried to tell them. If they make individual mistakes, that's different. But Emery is in charge of initially how we set off from the second we play. Anything the players do falls on them, and obviously. And there has been games, for as much as I praise Emery for changing things quickly, he hasn't done that quick enough at times, like against Liverpool. But even the City one, I don't feel you should just defend against City, to be honest, because you can't. They're going to pick you off. If you attack, they're going to find gaps. So you might as well have a chance, man. To be honest, against Liverpool, I feel the game plan, it worked, but it didn't work. Individual mistakes and just their quality showed the difference. But whether I agreed with it or not, there was a clear sort of game plan Emery wanted to go over there playing, and it worked for a bit. And then obviously what happened. So I like what Emery's doing, but I'd like to see more of what we can do as a team and stuff, and finding more of a balance rather than always thinking about they've got this, let's do this sort of thing, because that can be counterproductive. It's good to think about the opposition, but balance people. If you're too much like Jose, you're not going to be show anything attacking. Jose of United. If you're Arsene Wenger of the last Arsene Wenger that kind of went out and you're all gun-ho and you're attacking a Disney Channel, like you've seen people, your lambs going to the slaughter. So the balance, you take what Jose has in terms of, and these two are my Portuguese granddad and French granddad, you take Jose's cerebral approach and thinking about the opposition. You take Wenger's approach of believing in your technical ability. You marry that together and you've got a good team sort of things. You get it? Good question, man. Good questions, people, man. Thank you. A different question, Igor, and big up Igor Ibrahim, man. He's always up in this thing supporting, man. I've got a lot of time for you. You've asked, what's your favourite snacks/sweets growing up? Good question. Sugar cane, guinnep, mango. I was a big fruit man. But if you mean sweets, I liked all sorts of crisps, like all sorts of cheesy crisps and things. Sour sweets, sour Skittles, very nice. All the sour, the little sour sweets, the sour strawberry laces, that was all me. Yeah, man, patties, if you can say a snack. Well, patties not a snack, but patties, I don't know, man. You've put me off guard, man. I'd say them strawberry sweets, and then I found out they weren't halal, so I can't be messing with that no more. But yeah, man, it'd probably be them. If you can say drinks, I'd say Supermalt, man. You know me. If you don't like Supermalt, I don't know what you're on, but it divides opinion. You've also said, what do you feel that Arsenal play? How do you feel that Arsenal have no players in the English team? And do you feel like anyone has a chance to break into the team this year? Well, I'm always backing my guys. I always like an outsider, but my educated guess would say no. I feel if Holding gets playing and stuff, whether Southgate brings him in is a different story, but I think he'd probably be our strongest case. Of course, I hope eventually one day Maitland-Niles, Reece Nelson, Joe Willock, Emil, all of these guys, Saka, all of these players are as many as possible. It's unrealistic to assume everyone's going to go into England duties, but I want that because you're looking at it. Who was the last England player that got called up, people? Was it Chambers or something? Like, I can't think of a last Arsenal player that called up for full England duty. To be fair with you, because you can say Welbeck, but we could ride the Welbeck one, but we all know, yeah, man. That's a good question, and obviously I want Arsenal players there. I see Liverpool, I see City, I see United, I see Spurs even. I see Chelsea. We see Mount. Yeah, we see Chelsea. Yeah, we see Chelsea. I don't see Arsenal though. Like, it's a bit mad. So 100 people, 100. Midnight Football's asks, which Arsenal / ex-Arsenal players still playing do you think could be coaches? Rob Holding, because he's doing his badges. I feel Jack Wilshere. You never know. It's a funny one. It's the least of you expect. You even heard who's the Lyon manager now, man? It's escaped my mind, man. But people say he wouldn't have gone into management. It's escaped my mind. There's a couple of them. Ex-Arsenal players, that's ambiguous. Anyone can be a coach. I'd say Fabregas. He's come to head. Cess, he strikes me as someone that could be a manager. Current ones within the team. Holding, I've already said. It's a tough one. It's honest. I don't know, you know. None of them strike me as they want to be coaches after. Maybe Saliba, you know. I'm looking a bit ahead and he's not at the club, but maybe Saliba, just based on what I read and how he's obsessed with football, that could be something for him long term to think about. And I'm talking like Holding's an old man. So yeah. Kaligabi? I don't know, man. I'm sorry for butchering, but you said, what's your thoughts on Glenn Kamara? Could he make it to the Premier League within 1 or 2 years? I mean, I'm a big fan of his development. He used the disappointment of being released from Arsenal to go to Southend. I believe last time I saw him was playing in Scotland. He was at Dundee and now he's at Rangers under Gerrard and at a prestigious club. Obviously, he's been capped by Finland, so he's formed a good career. It's up to the Premier League teams if they want to buy him. Who knows? Hopefully, because he's flying the Arsenal Academy badge, my guy. But people have no clue. Pardon me. AI is asked, should we bother trying to repurpose Mustafi? No. Moving on from that question. If Pepe doesn't score or assist, should we drop him to protect him? Toxic comments already label him as a flop have started. At the end of the day, he was bought for 70-odd million. There's no hiding place in the Prem. There's no hiding place. He's going to get Pepe and Arsenal. Everybody at Arsenal are educated enough, as well as us fans like yourself, to know that this is going to happen. We do it to other players, and it is a part and parcel. Obviously, the price tag and the structure is different, but if you look at it, he's a 24-year-old, and he is quite unpolished. He's a baller. I think he's going to be a baller, but he is unpolished. He's not the finished product, people. People aren't going to give him patience. Internally in the club and himself, of course, they're just going to not bother with this noise. If it's looking like he's playing on his confidence and mentally, then of course drop him. But I don't believe he should be dropped because he's going to have to get through it. Like, you're going to have to get through it. Sane was written off after 6 months. Now look at him. Do you get it? People are written off all the time, people. And it's very much an English thing that we're guilty of, people. We don't give players 6 months. 6 months is a long time. Obviously, if you see some players are rubbish, they're rubbish. I'm not saying everyone must get 6 months. But we write people off very quickly, people. And we build players up to kill them. So I agree with you, but I wouldn't say... All the people saying he's a flop, it's all noise, man. These things are going to happen, my G. Dominic asked, is letting Bielik go a mistake? We don't have a tall centre defensive mid. I think Torreira is too small to play in the middle of a three. Would we have had perhaps better stability with him, Xhaka, Torreira and the other options? You could say yes. I mean, Bielik, he's still young and unpolished, but he can play in defence, he can play in midfield, he could be used as a half-back. I felt when playing three at the back, he's one of the perfect players for that system, and he could have been utilised. At the end of the day, it hasn't happened. I don't agree with Torreira being too small for that. I mean, if you check several midfielders and you go and see their height in many positions, you'll see how silly that comment is, but fair play. And same way you've seen some tall players that are quite easy to move off the ball. So we need to stop equating height with physicality. It's not always the case. Of course, they normally correlate, but it's not always the case. I would like a box-to-box / composing midfielder to partner Torreira and potentially play in the free with the Guendouzi's, by God's grace, Ceballos signs permanently. But that's a different story, my guy. So I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with that, but fair play to you. Let me check if I've forgotten any questions in particular. I'll try my best not to do this. Move it. Apologies, people. I was looking on Snapchat just in case, giving people one last chance. But let's move over to YouTube, the good old YouTube people. Now, we always get some interesting questions here. 16 comments. Let's see. Oh, need you like Jaws. Your name's too long. No offense, but we're gonna be all day. Shout out to you. You said, when do you see Maitland-Niles breaking in the into the midfield? Also, do you think he could be a top-class winger? Well, football has a funny way of surprising people, but I think he's more likely to carve out a career as a fullback at Arsenal than as a right winger. He's decent in the final third, but I don't think that's him. If he wants to do that, that's his thing. You lot know me, I'm a fan of his. I'll always support him. But I think, if anything, is central midfield. Whether Emery, now that I look at it, does Emery see his future as a long-term fullback? Will Emery give him a chance in midfield? Because Willock's come through and he's doing his thing. He really likes Guendouzi. Xhaka's always going to play. Torreira's playing significantly. Xhaka's always going to play, like I said. Joe Willock's there. There is scope to give someone an opportunity there. But I personally would like a box-to-box midfielder to come in. You're looking at it. If Emery gets that, you're looking at Maitland-Niles. And I mean, if he really saw Maitland-Niles as a midfielder, apart from me, obviously Maitland-Niles, he can't be upset that he's been playing right back, because how many appearances would he have at the end of the day, or a left back at a time? And I know a part of it is because he's had to do a job, but part of me also believes, if you as a manager truly believe he's a midfielder and believe in his abilities like that, what excuse have you really got not to play him there? There's not been a smidge of a chance. Obviously, when Bellerin comes back, it could be a different thing. But who knows, to be honest. I hope he gets chances. I feel if he develops and becomes a little less lax off the ball and keeps remaining hungry, Maitland-Niles can be a decent addition in the squad. Pablo's asked, any box-to-box midfielders that you would realistically like at Arsenal? Well, I can't pronounce his name, but Sangria, whatever his name is, of Toulouse. Been watching him last season. He looks decent. Gonna run the eye over him again. Diabolical's asked, favourite non-Arsenal players? R9, what? If he was talking retired, I could say R9, Ronaldinho and that. But current players, let's keep it to currently playing. Raheem Sterling, Mane, Mo Salah, Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe, Neymar. I mean, do I have to say Lionel Messi? Like Lionel Messi, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Gnabry, Daniel Marlon, Jeffrey Adelaide, Ismail Benacer, anyone who's come through the Arsenal Academy, really. Reece James of Chelsea, he's not a Premier League footballer as such yet, but him, I like him. I wouldn't say favourite, but I like him. Zaha, Jadon Sancho, if I haven't said him already. I like Marcus Rashford, man. I support all the brothers them, man. Pogbeezy, different class. Son, I know he plays for them Spurs boys, but I like Son. Kane. I want to say favourite for Kane or Son, but they're there. Cristiano, of course, because I said Messi, I have to say him. Luis Suarez. All the young players I talk about. That's a good question, man. We could be all day. I wish I did some homework for that, man. Diabolical, shout out to you, man. When I blow from Deluded, if I blow, I need to get you or link you, and I need to buy you a drink, man, because you're always in this Q&A without a doubt. Like, life, there's certainties in life, death and taxes, and diabolical in these comments, man. So big up yourself. I'm gonna like that comment. Ace has said, would you take an out of form Alexis back now for maybe 10 or 15 million or a loan? Do you believe he'll be half as good as he was for us in his prime? I mean, have you been watching Alexis Sanchez for the last 18 months? Hell no. If he then comes and plays good for Inter, I'll look silly, but hell no. Kaya's asked, are Arsenal going to buy Upamecano and Vinicius Jr. in January? Hold on, let me call Raul Sanche. Clearly out, banter aside, I don't know, my guy. Of course, them questions, they're always funny, because I'm a fan like you. I don't know, but I don't have Raul Sanche on my line. I don't know. I wish I did, or I'd be first and foremost trying to get a job at Arsenal, and second of all, dinging off his line, seeing who we're getting. Marble Halls has said, do you reckon Wenger will go in hard on some players like Sir Alex Ferguson did in his book? I hope he airs all the dirty laundry, people, but to be honest, I don't think he will. Wenger's sort of he's an OG in this, man. He respects the game. He takes it to the grave, sort of thing, man. He's give him 100 years, sort of thing, if he was in an American movie or something. But I don't think so. Don't use this as asked. if you're a manager, what style would you implement? Which 11 players would suit it? I've no disrespect, my guy, but I've kind of answered that question already. So apologies, and I've answered that all the time in videos. Omar's asked, suppose at the end of the season we fail to get top 4 and Emery gets sacked, who would be your ideal replacement and why? Off the top of my head, that's calm. I mean, that's very hard. I can't really think about that calmly, but if not necessarily name Julian de Guzman, I can't name drop a manager here, but I'd want someone of that philosophy or a certain philosophy like that. A sort of youngish manager. I don't know past that, my guy. Maxwell Duncan's asked, who do you think is in our best midfield combination? Well, if you're asking me the midfield I would play, I'd say Ceballos. Torreira and Guendouzi, but Guendouzi and Xhaka realistically would have to rotate out. To be fair, Willock, if he keeps it up, of course, is ahead of Xhaka in the pecking order for me. But realistically, Xhaka and Guendouzi would rotate out. Guendouzi is young. He's not going to have great games at times. Xhaka is Xhaka. And I love Joe Willock, but again, you don't know what you're going to get from him. And to be fair, Joe Willock, I thought he should have started against Spurs, but he's been carrying a little knock. Moving on. The best RC's asked, why do you think fans scapegoat certain players for problems at Arsenal when the issue is much deeper? Specifically, Ozil, Mustafi, Xhaka get a lot of stick, but in the right team with the right formation, they would excel. I do believe there's truth in your statement and untruth. Sometimes these players just haven't pulled it out. At the end of the day, fans have agendas, fans are illogical, and I do think them players you've named, they're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Xhaka and Mustafi make a lot of mistakes. Mustafi, I'm not a fan of Mustafi at all, but there's been times we've got ripped and he's had nothing to do with it, and I've seen people scapegoat, and I'm thinking, you never watched the game, you've got agendas. But more often than not, they haven't pulled it out. At the end of the day, fans are going to play with agendas and whatnot. So I don't really have an answer for you. Juniors asks, when was your most embarrassing and best moment when playing football? I don't really have embarrassing moments. I mean, there was one time, this should be another video. Basically, when I realised I was going to be a professional footballer, and you got to the age where I used to go drinking and raving and get 30 minutes sleep and then go play Sunday League. There was one time I was like hungover, people kinda, and a guy nutmegged me and I clamped him, and he's one of them. I walked straight up in it. I could make that into a vid, but I'd say that's the most embarrassing, if anything. I don't really have embarrassing moments. I say the best moments is winning league trophies at Sunday League level. The best specific moment in one of them campaigns was I saved a shot on the line, like he went round the keeper, and then I read it and kind of cleared it. Another best moment is obviously when I told you I was defending and accidentally someone stepped. I can't remember what side, but I got a scar on one of these sides. So I'd say that. So I'd probably say that. Just winning trophies, man. I like to win, man. I don't like the losing thing. So I'd say that. Jack Lyles asks, if you could ask Wenger one question only, what would it be? That's not fair, man. I need to be with him asking him enough questions. But how do you keep believing in yourself when the world... No. Because obviously he's asking Wenger, say what you want to say, he's a highly accomplished man. How do you keep going? I don't know how to structure the question, but it'd be something along the lines of, how do you keep going when you know, when you don't think you can, or people can't see the man you are going to be in that... Yeah, apologies for that. But for me, I would ask Arsene Wenger simply... I thought about it since the video cut out, had to replace the batteries. I would probably say, for me, people... I'd ask him something along the lines of, how do you believe in yourself before everyone can see who you are? And biggest personal regret non-related to football would be it. So that would be that. What other ones we got? Really hate when technology... Yeah, man, I can't wait till the day when I can have someone that makes sure everything's charged and whatnot. I'm terrible with that. Moving on, Trayvon's asks, come the summer and Xhaka does leave, what would be your ideal replacement? Keep breaking barriers, bro. Thank you for your support. I've gone nowhere yet, but I'd say Sengray, I can never say his name off, Toulouse is the first one coming to head. I wanted Cousins, but he's gone to Bayern Munich. I'd have to look through my scouting reports and get back to you, my guy, man. That's a great question. Mr. A's asked, have you ever tried your hand at commentary? Do you have any interest in it, bro? I mean, I'm not interested in anything that would get me out of here, man. Football's a funny world. When you're in one, you can do it all, man. Like, you lot know me. If it was up to me, I'd be on the coaching field. I'd be doing up the scouting. But there's that. I love to talk about football and found that I like this more than I thought I would have. So I would never turn down commentary. And I mean, it would help me. And yeah, why wouldn't I want to sit at games and talk about them? It's not as easy as that. I know individuals that do it, but yeah, man, it's been some. I must admit, it's something I've thought about, but not thought about. Like, I've not actively gone out there and try and be a commentator. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I know I'm an honest man, but quite a few people keep saying things like that. It might be something to consider. Arsenal fan 90s asks, what do you think of the Kardashians? I don't really care about the Kardashians, really, but they're all good looking. Apart from Chloe, yeah, I don't want to get myself wrapped up for nothing that's not anything to do with football. So on that note, people, deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking each and every time. Comment more questions, comment some podcast topics. Make sure your links is in the description for my podcast. Make sure you're saluting that up as well as YouTube. Hit all the like and subscribe and all them other notifications. Make sure your bell's on. People, it's been a lovely Q&A. I love you guys. 13k gang en route to 20. Road to 20k is alive and kicking. People, DG, I'm out.